I see a lot of people online say that the 2024 American presidential election is the most important election in human history. And that's why they're teaching people to vote one way or the other. But I think the most important election of all time isn't even an American election. It's the 1948 Italian election. To give a quick rundown of all of the parties here, the most important party was from Alfredo Covelli. He was running from the monarchist party. Italy before 1948 was a monarchy, but many Italians didn't like it because they had appointed Benito Mussolini as their prime minister, president type thing, and we all know what he did. There was a huge movement for communism slash socialism in the North, surprisingly, which actually makes no sense because the South is more, it's less rich, and that was led by Giuseppe Saragat. And then there was also a Christian Democracy Party. We all know how good those are, led by Alcide de Gasperi. There was also a popular left wing party, as you could probably tell what I mean by But if you close your eyes, does it that, led by Palmari Togliatti. And the other two parties that ended up actually getting any seats at all was a national party, which was on the right side of the political spectrum, a great type of party, I know, led by Roberto Lucifero, and also the Italian Republican Party, led by Randolfo Pacciardi. It looked set that the Communist Party was headed to a very big majority, if not a majority, and they would make up the next government. But in February, keep in mind this election is held in April. In February of 1948, there was a Soviet backed coup in Czechoslovakia, which made the United States very concerned that about the Soviet intervening in Central Europe. And they thought that Italy would be drawn in to that if either any one of those communist parties had won the election. So the US did very US things and intervened in this election by heavily funding the Christian Democracy Party. And that may or may not have had a huge result on the election. This understandably led to the winning of the Christian Democracy Party. But here's a couple of different scenarios based off which party could have won the election. To get the most boring one out of the way, aside from obviously the Christian nationalist one, I don't want to teach you the history of Italy after 1948. It would be the Republican Party, which probably just would have gone the same. And the other boring one would be if the National Bloc Party won. If that party won, it would just be like Italy is isolationist, probably, and they probably wouldn't have joined NATO, but that's probably the most important thing. They'd be like a Switzerland, but instead of not caring about anything, they only care about themselves, basically. Now, for me, both of the communist parties would have ended up the same way. If Italy became communist, it would be really bad for the West. The Iron Curtain would no longer be split halfway down Europe. It would be going from Finland and then on the Austrian-Italian border. This probably would have meant that San Marino would become communist, Malta would become communist, and it could either mean the Vatican City just isn't its own country anymore, or has to get rid of its monarchy or papacy, and it is replaced with a communist dictatorship. Would Italy have joined the Warsaw Pact had they won? Most likely not. I think it'd be like in the case of Mongolia, where they're a communist country, US doesn't like communism, but it's not that much of a nuisance. Honestly, if Italy just stayed a monarchy, I think it would be turn out the same way that Spain turned out, normal.